Good afternoon, everyone. I put my phone on silent, and there's only two people that can bypass it. It's one, my wife, and two, the chief, and they're both in the room right now, so I don't expect any phone calls. You know, it's always a very nostalgic and very humbling honor to come back to JP Stevens, which are my roots, my alma mater. And I cannot express enough how proud I am of this community, each of you, hearing your inspiration and motivation for coming to even this point. But on my way here, and when I got the first email to discuss, the theme of community and how we can discuss what it means to give back, what it means to learn, I thought about what a broad term that was. I thought about what I really wanted to focus on. And it came down to what made me who I am today, how our community has rallied and come so far, how each of you have contributed to the success of our youth collectively, and how we can continue to expand. It was just about 20 years ago where I was sitting in these halls. And even then, I said to myself, I someday wanted to become mayor. Actually, I had that dream since I was in 3rd grade. And I didn't give up. But the reason why I felt like I could keep going was because the more I learned about our community, as we were making history, as our demographics have changed here at Edison, I was very mindful that Edison does reflect greater America. And I was also reminded that to this day, my parents are much like many of you in the audience right now, where they immigrated here. And they had to sacrifice so much so that their kids can have a better future. And so when you think about the word community, I looked it up. And the first person that really started using community in a more broad sense, not just its literal definition, was Aristotle. And I wondered if his definition of community back then, which was like-minded men within groups, similar groups, I wondered if he would apply that today. I wondered if we can also grow from that. And to me, I've concluded that we can certainly agree that that's one approach to it, but it's the expansion and the globalization that we've also felt, that we have to be more cognizant of our surroundings. So let's elaborate on that. Some of you may know that we've decided to have more cultural events in town. The reason why we decided to do this was because we agree that community is not just learning about what you already know. See, when I was growing up, my family, which was Indian American, my parents who were Hindu, they said, these are the values and ideals that we believe in, much like many of you parents may. But in order to go to where I wanted to get to, I realized that's not the only thing that I can learn about other cultures, other religions, other backgrounds, and ethnicities, while not even losing my own identity. And Edison was the most unique opportunity to do that, because 20 years ago, Edison was very different. And every year since, I made a conscious effort to learn about one another's backgrounds. And it's important that our students nowadays as well as each of you, do that as well. It is necessary to acknowledge, can you believe it? The other chief is calling me. It's necessary to acknowledge that while in the midst of making history, we understand that community is what we make of it. But if we cocoon ourselves into what we only know and what we only believe, which is only written in our scriptures and our history books in time, because this is the only thing that was passed down, then why did we choose a place like Edison to live? We chose a place like this for education, for open-mindedness, to be able to carry our own beliefs while at the same time learning from one another. And it's important because nowadays we combine this with struggle. It's acknowledging that in every respective field that you choose to go into, it's a lot more. You have to break a lot more barriers than what you know or what comfort zone you're in. And that's what makes you more of an open-minded person. I want to talk about struggles as well, such as many of you. Each of you know the respective stories that you've gone through. And for our students, our youth, it's important that we instill and let them know what struggles we exactly went into. For me, I can tell you this right now, even in high school and in JP Stevens, while I was mindful of the community that I wanted to represent, I skipped weddings, I skipped birthday parties, I skipped so many personal events that my parents were not happy with. But I did that because I wanted to expand my knowledge of the community so that I can further my goal. And I'm happy with where I'm at, but I want the students, your children, to also be aware that we're only going to be able, or they, as they pursue their dreams, are only going to be better, more successful people by relying on the resources within our community. It's the community that is going to rally for you. It's the community, the knowledge, the culture, the trials, the tribulations, the stories that each of you have gone through. By making sure that they expand their backgrounds, by making sure that they expand the extracurriculars that they're in. See, I love Model UN. I could talk about Model United Nations day and night. I was that kid. But I realized that I needed to do more. And I chose to actively learn about what others were doing, because that's what makes you well-rounded. And now, as I look at how our community can be more successful, I'm mindful of some of the people that I interact with. You know, I'm very fortunate over the last couple of years. I have truly met some of the most successful people in the world, including the CEO of FedEx, the CEO of Cisco Systems, CEO of Cognizant, the Prime Minister of India, the President of the United States. And I've had opportunities to sit down with many of these individuals, one-on-one, including a room full of billionaires that my wife and I, we've been in at different points. And one theme was very unique, that each of them gave many, many personal sacrifices. But a lot of them did not resort to their own community until much later in life. But the moment that they did, that's when they realized their sense of identity with purpose, and that catapulted them to their success. So it's important